Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we are going to be talking about quite possibly the most popular franchise to ever come to the screen since 1977, and that is Star Wars, specifically named Rogue One, a Star Wars story. So, what's this movie all about? This movie takes place sometime before A New Hope, like really close. It's about the how the rebels got the plans to the Death Star, and that's this movie. If you saw the trailers, you know what this movie's about. Major cast members will be in the description below, along with the director. And let's get into what I liked about this movie. What I liked were most of the characters. I felt that they were enjoyable to watch, especially K2SO. That's it. And he was the comedic relief, and it really worked for me. I was surprised. And because at first there were a couple humor parts that didn't work, but we'll get into those later on. The negatives at least. From a filmmaking perspective, this movie is really well done, and specifically the lighting. Now, this hasn't been something I think I've touched on really, but this movie, when it comes to lighting, it's really well done, especially the scenes with Darth Vader. We'll talk about more of him later. The scenes with Darth Vader are very just, you're on the edge of your seat. You're just seeing him walk on the screen, and you're like, this guy means business, and that's why I love him. It's no wonder he's become one of the most popular villains on the cinema screen. This movie does feel like a war film, because the previous ones are kind of a little tongue-in-cheekish in a way. This movie is very grounded, almost realistic, like a Dark Knight a little bit, but I wouldn't go that far. I do think that worked as a strength for this film. This movie is a little more violent than the previous ones have been, but I don't think that's a negative for me. I've heard some people complain that it was a little too violent, but that I don't feel that way personally. So if you think that's going to be a flaw, then that's just going to be a flaw. Let's dive into the negatives, because I do have a few. First 40 minutes didn't feel very well made from a storytelling perspective, simply because you're introduced to our main character, Jyn Erso, played by Felicity Jones, and you see her in like the first 10 minutes. She's a little girl, and right after that, we get into the title, and then she's suddenly like 16 years later. What happened? I don't know. Like, all of a sudden, we jump cut to her as an adult. What happened before that? It just felt so abrupt that I couldn't get into it very well. It kind of took me out of the movie a little bit. And as for the bits of humor that I mentioned, there were a little bit of it in the very beginning when it started to get a little funny. It didn't work for me, but as the film progressed, it got a lot better. One other thing is there are shots in the trailer that are not in the movie. Keep that in mind, because they did reshoots. Now let's talk about Darth Vader. He's only in the movie for 5 minutes-ish, which some people are going to be disappointed by that. If you were really hoping for Darth Vader, then you're going to be disappointed, because he's not really in the movie. But when he's on screen, he is awesome. Keep that in mind. It's probably one of the most memorable scenes I've seen him on. Like, when you see Darth Vader on the screen, it's pretty awesome. Like, you will not forget it anytime soon. As for final thoughts, the first act kind of felt a little sloppy for storytelling. Some of the characters I wasn't really into. But overall, after that, the movie picked up really high to the point where it was a great movie, and I had a fantastic time with it. And for that reason, I'm going to give Rogue One, a Star Wars story, an A-. So there you guys go. If you want to know what I think of Force Awakens, I think this movie and Force Awakens are on par, and the criticism for Force Awakens was it felt too much like A New Hope, and this movie, if you were thinking it's going to be not like A New Hope at all, to say it properly, this movie, it doesn't just draw references from A New Hope, it also draws references to the other two, Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. If you're hoping that wasn't going to be the case, you might be disappointed with this as well. But if you can look past that, I'm sure that you'll find the same amount of enjoyment that I found in this movie. So, what did you guys think of this movie? Is there anything I missed that you wanted me to talk about? Let me know down below. And be sure to comment, rate, subscribe, all the good stuff. And don't forget to be a part of Foley Nation. You don't want to miss out on that. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you then.